Find, fix and destroy. First Brigade had moved its forward command post from Camp Holloway to LZ Homecoming on the morning of October 26th. Meeting there that afternoon with Lawson, Kinnard and Knowles, Westmoreland was to make a momentous command decision. It was clear that the NVA effort at Plei Me was a significant operation, and Kinnard was determined that the US would do more than simply contain the NVA or reinforce the Arvin. Westmoreland also wanted to go on the offensive, and he instructed Lawson to give Kinnard his head. The first team's mission was to find, fix and destroy threats to Plei Me, Pleiku and the Central Highlands, and its tactical area of operations would now extend from Route 14 to the Cambodian border and from Highway 19 to the province boundary. The division placed a forward tactical operations centre next to two corps headquarters in Pleiku City. First Brigade reinforced. First Brigade was given another infantry battalion on the 28th, the first of the 12th, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Robert Shoemaker. The brigade now had 3 infantry battalions, reinforced by an artillery battalion with 3 batteries, and an aerial rocket artillery battery of the 2nd Battalion, 20th Artillery. Each infantry battalion was to be deployed with supporting artillery, and was to patrol from company bases. When contact was made, a rapid reaction force would close with the enemy by helicopter, supported by aerial rocket artillery and pre-positioned tube artillery. Additional batteries of tube artillery would be rapidly moved into position by medium-lift helicopters, and extensive use would be made of tactical airstrikes. 2 lift companies from the 227th Assault Helicopter Battalion were allocated to the brigade, 4 D model Hueys per platoon and 4 platoons per company, an attached company of B model gunships providing lift escort. The 227th deployed forward from the Anke Golf Course to a broad, open field between Camp Holloway and New Pleiku Air Base. A veteran of Air Assault 2 in the Carolinas, nicknaming it the Turkey Farm. The brigade was also given 1 company of the medium-lift Chinook Battalion. Reorganisation. Clark immediately deployed 112 Cav into 4 locations 25 km west of the site of the ambush of the Plei Me relief column on Route 5, hoping to trap remnants of the NVA force to the east. There was no contact on the landing zones, and the companies prepared for the night of the 28th without incident. Clark also moved his command post from Homecoming to Stadium, a location adjacent to the sprawling Kateka tea plantation, which was astride Route 19, 5 km west of its junction with Route 14. That day, around the Plei Me camp, 212 Cav, with all its units back under its control, and with B Battery 217 artillery, set up an LZ 7 km north of the camp named Punt, while 28 Cav did the same at Homecoming with 2 batteries of 219 artillery. Developing contacts. The 3 air troops of the 1st Squadron, 9th Cavalry, began conducting reconnaissance east, south and west of the Plei Me camp, and flying H-13 helicopters, the scouts began making contact to the west late in the day. The scouts, the white team, would fly on the deck, nosing into clearings to look for trails and possible camouflaged positions, protected by the troops' B-model gunships, the red team. If a contact was promising, the troops' aero rifle platoon, the blue team, would be inserted to develop the situation. The rifle platoons would establish a patrol base at night and set up ambushes. Infantry units used different tactics to gain contact than those employed by the cavalry squadron. An infantry company would be moved by air close to a suspected enemy location, and it was then given a search route which maximised coverage of the area. The companies would set up night positions around 4:30 PM and await the arrival of the Logbird, a logistics helicopter that would deliver a hot evening meal, ammunition and mail. The 1st Cavalry pioneered the use of the artillery firebase. A battalion would seize an area which could be used to base tube artillery, and the artillery would then support the infantry in its operations. Areas of operation. On October 29th, Clark established battalion areas of operation within the division's AO, each area named after a battalion commander, Shue, Jim and Earl. but at least 2 battalions of the NVA's 320th Regiment had already passed through the area and were now on the northern bank of the Drang, just east of the Cambodian border, while the 33rd Regiment was withdrawing towards its forward assembly area 15 kilometres to the southwest of the Plei Me camp. The location of the 3rd Battalion of the 320th is uncertain, but it seems that after some brief but sharp clashes 14 kilometres west of the ambush area, it was tasked with moving north and west to link up with local force Viet Cong. The battalion would then work to interdict Route 19 between Luk Sao and Pleiku City. Alpha captures cache. In one clash, Alpha Company, 2nd Battalion 12th Cavalry, led by Captain Eugene Fox, landed on top of a weapons and food cache, and was immediately engaged by the reinforced NVA platoon that had been guarding the site. After a 30-minute firefight, the platoon survivors fled west into the jungle, leaving 16 dead behind them. 8 soldiers, 1,500 pounds of rice, 9 AK-47s, and a supply of hand grenades and ammunition were captured, while Alpha had sustained 1 man wounded. Prisoners later revealed the cache had been located near the forward battle headquarters of Field Front. The next day, the 31st, 2 kilometres southwest of the cache site, a platoon from Alpha engaged a platoon-sized NVA force at 7:10 am. In a brief firefight, half a dozen NVA soldiers were killed before the NVA broke contact. 1 trooper was killed. Further south, the 9th Cavalry Squadron made numerous contacts throughout the day, although ground contact was not made when blue teams were inserted. However, the effect on the 33rd was its continued fragmentation and the inability of its units to reach its pre-stocked supply caches. Where is the NVA? The question at Brigade Headquarters on the night of October 31st was where was the NVA, not the stragglers, but the company and battalion strength units. The commander and political cadre of the 33rd Regiment had the same question. By November 1st, headquarters elements had closed on Anta village, a regimental base area located in a hardwood copse and waist-high plateau grass at the foot of the easternmost projection of the Chupong Massif. However, the rest of the regiment was scattered between the Plei Me camp and the mountains.